What's up, Kings fans? We're here, we're drinking beers, and we're talking about your Sacramento Kings. Calvin, what are we drinking today?
We are drinking one of my all-time favorites, Fat Tire Amber Ale from New Belgium Brewing Company. We had to take a break from IPAs. Too many IPAs, so Amber Ale.
Drink responsibly. If you have too many of these, you will get a flat tire. All right, so today's subject is Richaun Holmes. As many of you know, he is a free agent this offseason, and there are some potential replacements that the Kings have identified. But before we jump into that, we want to let you all know we are giving away an autographed Marvin Bagley basketball on July 29th during our live stream. That's right, we are live during the NBA draft on July 29th, giving away this ball. 3 things we need from you if you want to enter in this contest. First, you need to subscribe to the channel, you need to like this video, and you need to leave a comment down below. Calvin's going to let you know at the end of the video what you need to comment down below to be entered into this contest.
That is correct, but let's get right into it. Richaun Holmes. I think you and I both agree that we want him back.
Yes.
On the Kings.
Yes.
First and foremost, let's get that out of the way.
A reasonable price, yes.
What's a reasonable price?
We'll get there.
Okay.
I would love to have Richaun back. However, he's a great player. He had a great season this past year, and I think there will be many suitors battling for his talents. Unfortunately, Richaun is not a restricted free agent like Terrence Davis, so the Kings do not have the opportunity to match any contract. However, Richaun has stated that he loves Sacramento. He would like to stay in the city of Sacramento. But many players say that when they're entering free agency, and it all comes down to the almighty dollar. So, Calvin, what do you think Richaun is going to be commanding per season?
Ooh, wow, that's tough. Tough to say. You know, the NBA market has obviously inflated so much. Seems like everybody is getting their money regardless. Jonathan Isaac signed an $80 million contract while he was rehabbing a torn Achilles.
Wow.
So, what is Richaun going to command? I don't know. I still think it's going to be in the $17 to $18 million a year range, which I am okay with paying him that amount of money. I am.
If the Kings can afford that.
If the Kings can afford that, yes. As of right now, they can afford that.
You know, for me, I'm okay with that, but that is going to impact them in re-signing a guy like Terrence Davis. That's going to impact them in bringing in some other impactful free agents this offseason. We already got Buddy Hield locked up. Harrison Barnes is making over $20 million a season. We got De'Aaron Fox on a max contract. And Bagley, if he's with the Sacramento Kings next year, he's making a good amount of money. And going into a contract year, he is going to be looking to get paid as well. So something's got to give, right?
Something does got to give. We've talked about the Bagley situation before. The Kings are trying to shop him. They're trying to find a trade partner for him. Buddy Hield is a potential, another potential guy that the Kings could be looking at moving. You know, it depends on who you get back in return for that, but that might help alleviate some sort of financial stress or strain when it comes to re-signing a guy like Richaun Holmes. I just think that he is, and we're going to talk about this, but who's going to replace him? Who's a guy that you're going to bring in tomorrow when Richaun decides I'm signing with somebody else that you're going to be equally as happy about and confident about having him at center? I'm talking about a guy that shot 60% from the field for his entire career. He just averaged 14 points a game last year, career high. He really feels like he's coming into his own. I think he plays with De'Aaron Fox extremely well. They play off of each other together. Mm-hmm. And I've said it before, one of my highest priorities of this offseason is to re-sign this guy.
Yeah, I think we both agree that Richaun is a very important part of the Kings organization, and we would both love to have him back at a reasonable price. Anything under $20 million, I think you and I are both happy with. I would like to side closer to the $15 million range.
And maybe they can do something like they did with Buddy Hield, where the contract is front-loaded.
Yeah,
and
that would be a good option as well. But I think for the rest of this podcast, let's assume that Richaun is gone. If he were to leave the Kings, I would love to hopefully end up doing a sign and trade or something like that to where they could get some sort of value instead of losing him for nothing. But if he were to leave the Kings and get a better offer elsewhere, which is very possible, there are a few things the Kings could do to replace him. They could bring back Hassan Whiteside. I know we didn't see a lot from him last year, but Monty McNair was super excited to have him on the team. He might be willing to come back for a bigger starting role on this team. Another, I guess, unpopular opinion among Kings fans would be to move Marvin Bagley to the 5, have him replace Richaun Holmes. Harrison Barnes has shown this past year that he is very capable playing the 4, especially in today's modern NBA. It's a smaller stretch league where you guard multiple positions. Harrison Barnes he's got the strength to stick with 4s in this league. So, moving Marvin to the 5 could add a lot of benefits to the Kings team on offense. I don't really see much on the defensive end, but
I think it makes a bad defensive team worse.
Yeah,
actually.
It does, but it's an option, right?
It's an option.
I think Marvin Bagley could be very successful playing the 5 offensively for the Kings. He could stretch the floor a little bit more than Richaun does. He's a little bit more athletic, which is crazy to say about a guy like Richaun Holmes, who is an athletic freak. But Marvin Bagley, he's got that double jump that is very hard to match in this current NBA. Are there any other guys that you would like to fill that 5 position with that are currently on the roster?
That are currently on the roster, no. I'm not a fan of making Hassan Whiteside your full-time starter. I know he had good years in Miami, and he definitely has the potential to play very well. I just don't see the consistency from him that I'm confident in using him as the starting 5, and I don't think that he fits. I want this team to play fast. I want him to run, and Hassan Whiteside's not the guy to use for that system as your center. I also don't like playing Harrison Barnes at the 4. It's not that he's not capable of doing it, and he gives it his best effort every night, but you're asking him to do things that are just really, really difficult. Guard Anthony Davis. Guard, the West has all these big athletic power forwards that he will do his best effort, but he is not. He's getting older every year, and he's not the person that I want used in those situations. I think he is a 3, a small forward, true and true. And he should be out there on the perimeter, and he shouldn't be wasting energy in the post.
Yeah, real quick, guys, I want to remind you all, if you do enjoy this content, to please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out a lot. The YouTube algorithm needs likes, it needs subscribes so that other Kings fans can see content like this. And leave us a comment down below. Even if you're not interested in winning this Marvin Bagley autographed basketball, let us know down below who you would like to see. If unfortunately Richaun leaves, who you'd like to see replacing him at the 5. There are a few guys that I mentioned last week in the podcast that I would love to see replacing Richaun at the 5 if Richaun were to leave. One of them being Jarrett Allen from Cleveland. Many of you know him from the Brooklyn Nets. Very young player, a lot of potential, defensive-minded, big man. And then another one would be Christian Wood with Houston Rockets. Totally different player than Jarrett Allen. But both of them provide a lot of energy. They provide a lot of different looks for this Kings team, and I think would be valuable replacements for Richaun Holmes. But the guy that I really want to focus on, I was a huge fan coming out of college before the knee injury and all that stuff. But he had a breakout season this year with the New York Knicks. leading them or help leading them to the playoffs this season. We all saw him get drafted to New Orleans with Anthony Davis, and they all celebrated that there is a block party in New Orleans. He ended up getting traded to the 76ers, missing a ton of time due to injuries, but he has had a very productive last season with the New York Knicks, helping lead them back into the playoffs. Nerlens Noel. I know the Kings have expressed interest this week in Nerlens. Calvin, how do you feel about bringing Nerlens to Sacramento?
I feel good about bringing Nerlens to Sacramento. However, I want Nerlens Noel as my backup center. I don't like having Nerlens as the full-time starter. He brings a lot to the table defensively, just like Richaun does. Actually, looking at these stats here, he averaged over 2 blocks a game last season.
He's a beast.
He's averaged over, or I'm sorry, not over, but a block, 1.5 blocks for his entire career. He's also averaged over 1 steal per game for his career. Those are really, really good numbers to have as a center. Outside of that, though, you know, you're giving up a guy who just averaged 14 points a game and shot 60% from the field for a guy who last year averaged 5 points a game and shot also the same, right around 61% from the field. He's not nearly as productive as Richaun Holmes will be.
On the offensive end of the floor.
On the offensive end of the floor, yes. I just feel like Nerlens Noel is an ideal backup center for me, for my team. I was shocked to look and see that he's already played 8 years in the NBA.
He's been in the league for 8 years. He hasn't played for 8 years.
Well, he has played in at least 22 games for the past 8 seasons, which is not a lot. But he's also got some years where he played over 70 games. He's got multiple years where he played over 60. So it's not like he was hurt every year. You know, he missed that first full season. That injury, I think, really did take away a lot of his potential.
Yeah.
Like you said, this guy, when he was in college, he was
freak.
expected to be, you know, one of the next dominant centers in the NBA. He has not achieved that, I would definitely say, but I like him as a player.
I'm going to have to disagree with you, Calvin. I am a huge fan of Richaun Holmes. I would love to have him back on the Sacramento Kings next year. But I am looking at this as in Richaun Holmes is asking for way too much money, or he's unreasonable to re-sign, or he just wants out of Sacramento. And I think Nerlens would be an amazing replacement for this franchise. As we mentioned last year, the Kings struggled on defense over and over and over again. And Richaun has been great, but Nerlens, as you mentioned, 2 blocks per game, has been amazing on the defensive end of the floor. And when you look at a lot of these statistics, you kind of got to skew them for the way the team is playing, right? So the Knicks had the slowest pace in the NBA last year, league's best defense. They really slowed it down. So the 5 points per game is not really what he's capable of in my mind.
He played 24 minutes a game for them, though.
Yeah,
it's not like he wasn't on the court very often.
And 24 is not a lot for a starting center.
Exactly.
So, you know, you think that...
He wasn't their starting center, though. He played starters minutes when Mitchell Robinson went out.
Yes. But I'm just looking at him as a potential replacement as the starting center in Sacramento. Yeah. If he can stay healthy and remain on the court, and I know Richaun had some injuries last year too, so he wasn't always available as well. But you look at the Kings running a faster-paced, up-tempo offense, Nerlens is going to get a ton of easy buckets. He's going to get oops. He's going to get, lobs. He's going to be running up and down the floor. And he's also going to bring that defensive presence. I don't know if he's going to get 2 blocks per game playing the style of play the Sacramento Kings do. Fast-paced, up-tempo. It's going to be a lot of transition defense for him. So he's probably not going to hit that 2 blocks per game number. And we saw that last year with Hassan Whiteside. The year before, he led the league in blocks with Portland. Mm-hmm. Didn't get the minutes with Sacramento, but when he was on the court, there was a much different Hassan Whiteside playing a different style. For me, Nerlens what he brings on the defensive end of the floor, it doesn't matter what style he plays. He's a defensive-oriented guy. He doesn't shoot threes, just like Richaun Holmes, but he does shoot over 60% from the field. He shoots over 70% from the free throw line, and he's an energy guy. He's going to run up and down the court. He's going to catch oops. He's going to catch lobs from De'Aaron Fox. He's going to clean up things that are right around the rim on the basket, and he's going to be that defensive presence for the Kings. If Richaun Holmes were to walk, and the Kings were lucky enough to sign a guy like Nerlens Noel to be their starting center next year, I, for one, would not be disappointed.
I would not be disappointed because of what he brings to the table on defense, and that's something that Sacramento has to have. They need solid defenders on this team. They need to be better defensively. That is literally the difference between them making the playoffs and missing the playoffs this season.
Yeah, didn't they set a record last year, like over 120 points per game allowing? It was
8-9 straight games, something like that.
Yeah. Nerlens is going to help with that, 100%. And I don't know if the Kings need scoring from Richaun Holmes or from the center position. Maybe 10 points a game. If Nerlens is running up and down the court with De'Aaron Fox, I have to think that he can get at least 8-10 points a game.
So Nerlens Noel in his entire career has averaged double-digit scoring one time. He is a career 7.6 per game scorer. And he's got a bunch of years here that are 4.4, 4.9, 5.1.
But how many minutes was he playing?
22 minutes, 18.5, 20.5, 19. You know, those aren't starters minutes. I get it. His game offensively is extremely limited. It's more limited than Richaun Holmes.
He doesn't have the push shot.
He doesn't have any shot.
We love from Richaun Holmes.
He doesn't have any shot.
Yeah.
He has no post moves. Bring him in in a starting role.
You know what they say, right?
But there's
you
also
gotta ask to receive.
That's true, and there's also the issue of Richaun Holmes is going to resign with somebody else. Now you have to make a move. You need somebody to fill the spot. So who are you going to go out there and get? There's not a lot of big men available in this free agent class. Certainly not a lot of high level or high productive offensive big men. But I like him better than Nerlens Noel. He's not anywhere near the defender. He's not much of a defender in general. I like a guy who has been in the starting role for his entire career to come in and fill that spot.
I think we're going to have to agree to disagree here. But we would like to hear from you all. How do you feel about the Richaun Holmes situation? I know most of us want him to re-sign. But if he wasn't to re-sign with the Kings...
Monty, please make this happen. We want him back.
If he wasn't to re-sign with the Kings, let us know down below in the comments who you would like the Kings to sign at center. And Calvin's also going to let you know what to write down below to be entered in the contest for this autographed Marvin Bagley basketball.
As we mentioned at the top of this video, you need to subscribe to our channel. We would very much appreciate it if you do. You need to like this video, and you need to comment Marvin Bagley's jersey number in the comment screen, along with any other added information that you'd like to give us.
We're not going to tell you his number, but if you're a true Kings fan, you should know it. Otherwise, you can look it up on Google.
Also in his rap name.
You could also look it up on Google. But we want to thank you all for joining us on another episode of the Royal Rebounds podcast. We hope you all enjoyed this content, and we will see you all soon. But in the meantime, go Kings!
Go Kings!